Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Good to be here. I'm Dave Hardy, the Secretary of Revenue for Governor Justice, and as you can tell by these two chairs here, that our guest of honor, let's see, Governor Justice will be sitting, I think, here, but our guest of honor will be sitting right here, okay? Babydog has gotten to be a big star these days, all right? She gets her own chair, her own bottle of water, she has her own agent, everything. She's a celebrity now, but they're on their way and they'll be here in just a few minutes. And when I see Babydog coming down the highway there in the hallway, it's my time for me to get off the microphone. So let me tell you about my journey with Governor Justice. In January of 2017, the governor asked me, I've been a Kanawha County Commissioner for 16 years, the governor asked me to come to the Capitol and honor me by appointing me Secretary of Revenue for the state of West Virginia. The first thing that we did when we got there, after the governor was sworn in, we looked at the state's financial statements. And the first one we looked at was for fiscal year 17. We were halfway through the fiscal year. It was in January. And I looked down and I said, ooh, that looks like red ink. Well, it was red ink. And you don't have to be a highly trained accountant to know red ink is bad. And the red ink showed that we were $217 million in the deficit for fiscal year 17. And I was thinking, wow, we might have a problem here. Then the next financial report I looked at with the governor was the projection for fiscal year 18, which was going to start in about 6 months. And for fiscal year 18, our projection was $497 million additional deficit. So our starting point 5.5 years ago was we were over $700 million in the hole the day the governor was sworn in. Now I'm going to fast forward you to June 30th of 2022, this year. This was, for the state of West Virginia, probably the greatest day in our financial history. And I mean that literally. On June 30th of 2022, we closed our books and West Virginia had an official $1,308,000,000 surplus for fiscal year 22. And the governor's not here yet, but I think the governor deserves a round of applause for that. West Virginia is doing well. We are doing well from a financial standpoint. Our revenue grew by 22% last year, and for the first quarter of this fiscal year, it's grown by 28%. So the governor said to me as Secretary of Revenue, get your team together, I want to start cutting taxes. And we did our research, and here's what we found. Out of 50 states, there are 9 states that don't have a state income tax. And these are states that most of us have traveled to at one time or the other. I'm talking about Texas, talking about Tennessee, talking about Florida, Nevada, Wyoming, South Dakota. You may not have gone to Wyoming or South Dakota, but most of us have been to the other ones. Those states grew in the last 10 years, they grew twice as fast in population as the other 41 states. Those states, those same 8 or 9, grew their economies 56% faster than the other 41 states. Then we looked at trends in the United States today, and the big trend today, no question, no if, and, or but, is telework. More and more people are now being given the opportunity to work from their homes. And guess what the study showed? I don't think you needed a study to get this, but this is what the study showed. Teleworkers want to live in nice, clean, relaxed places like West Virginia, and they want to move to states that have low taxes. And you're seeing that already in the Eastern Panhandle, where a lot of people are moving into the Eastern Panhandle from high-tax states like New Jersey and Maryland. So we added that up, and the governor said, I want to go big. I want to try to eliminate the state income tax in West Virginia. It's going to be hard, and it's going to be challenging, but let's do it. He called a special session of the legislature in July this year, and he put a bill in front of the legislature to immediately cut the state income tax by 10%, first cut. 10%, you say. How much is that? $271 million. Back in your pocket this year. The House of Delegates approved that bill in one day. One day. We were thinking, we're going to put money back in everybody's pocket here within a week. The state Senate would not even hear the bill or vote on the bill. So the bill did not pass in July, and we lost an opportunity to put $271 million back in your pockets. Why did the state Senate not do that? The reason the state Senate did not do that is because of Amendment 2. Let me tell you about Amendment 2. I love history. I hope you do too. In November of 1932, that means next month, that'll be 90 years ago, the people of West Virginia voted, because all changes to the Constitution have to be voted on by the people. The people of West Virginia voted by a landslide to put in our Constitution that your property tax dollars that you pay, real estate tax, personal property tax on your vehicles, must stay with local government. That's what county governments use for their revenue. That's what cities use in part. And that's what our school boards use. That money is guaranteed in the West Virginia Constitution for local government and has been for 90 years. Dedicated, locked in, constitutionally guaranteed revenue stream so local government can do what it needs to do. And we all know what local government does. Local government provides law enforcement. Local government provides the 911 center. Local government provides ambulances. Local government provides, in part, for senior centers like the one we're sitting in. Local officials responsible for local government. Amendment 2 says, let's take that out of the Constitution and let's let the West Virginia legislature determine where the property tax revenue will be spent. Or maybe they'll eliminate the property tax. Who knows? That puts you in the position that forevermore, local government has to go to Charleston, West Virginia with its hat in its hand, like trick-or-treat bag, and say, please, state government, please, legislature, please, governor, give us our money back. Now, does that sound like local control of government to you? No. It's send your money to Charleston and then go back to Charleston and ask for it back. Right now, times are good. I'm sure that you might get your money back next year. But let's think about the future. Let's think about the next 90 years. Does anybody here really think that over the next 90 years, every legislature and every governor that's elected is always going to guarantee that your money comes back to you? Let me tell you about the state budget. I've learned a lot about the state budget. It's challenging. PEIA health insurance for 34,000 state employees. Pay raises for 34,000 state employees. Jail bills. Medicaid. Pension plans that have hundreds of millions of dollars of liability. Not to mention natural disasters, which happen quite frequently in West Virginia. Does county and local government, school boards, do you really want to get in line with everybody else down at the Capitol? Do you want to get in line to fund what you need to fund, or do you want to keep your constitutionally guaranteed revenue source that's been in the West Virginia Constitution for the last 90 years? Today's the first day of early voting. Our governor and me, as the head of the Department of Revenue, think Amendment 2 is a disaster. It's a disaster for the state's budget. It's a worse disaster for local government. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. It's worked wonderfully for 90 years. So that's why we're here today to have this conversation with you. This is the 24th public meeting that we've held in the last 3 weeks. We've been from Charlestown to Bluefield, Parkersburg, to Follinsby, to Wheeling, all points in between. Just so you will understand, and we can understand, what we're voting on starting today all the way through November 8th on the constitutional amendment. Vote yes if you want to give your revenue to Charleston and ask for it back. Vote no if you want to have a constitutionally guaranteed revenue source that takes care of local government and takes care of its people. Now, the governor is due here any minute. Jordan, I'm looking back to you. Rebecca, is the governor nearby? Babydog's probably getting a drink, signing autographs back there. I'm going to introduce you to the man that's always told us the truth and took West Virginia from a deficit to record revenue. 36th governor, but wants to go to the men's room. Here comes Babydog.
Typical politicians would kiss the baby. He's making sure everything's safe.
You know, there's a lot of conversation about the car taxes, and the governor will talk to you today about the car tax because the, here he is, 36th governor of the state of West Virginia, the Honorable Jim Justice.
How y'all doing?
Yeah.
Oh. Oh, gosh. Oh, how are y'all doing? That's great. Okay. Now, you may wonder why I'm sitting down. And let me tell you this. I've been so many places, and I've sat on that stool, wherever that stool is, and it's really strong. It's got to be to hold me. But somewhere, I don't know how I've done it, but I've hurt my back some way. And no big thing, just a muscle. Babydog and I are on the same dietary program, and it got us. But nevertheless, let me do this. Let me tell you just a little real quick story about her. I tell people this everywhere I go, but she does make you smile, doesn't she? Yes. And through this pandemic, it's been tough. And it's affected every single last one of us in every way. Now, the other thing she does is the biggest thing I've ever seen. She loves everybody. Now, I don't know how it gets any more simple than just that. If all of us could make others smile, and we absolutely would love everyone, didn't matter, rich, poor, black, white, Republican, Democrat, old, young, if we loved everybody, wouldn't it be a heck of a lot better world? So, I think, and I believe this, I believe God made me Jim Justice for a reason. And He put me right here today for a reason. And He made every one of you who you are for a reason. Now, if you believe that, and I believe it, and my dad would say over and over that, son, if you believe it, and the good Lord knows it, that's all you have to worry about. So I believe it. I believe that. I believe she is the definition of coincidence, an everyday occurrence in which God chooses to remain anonymous. Now think about it. How in the world has a 60-pound brown watermelon bulldog become 1,000 times more popular than any of us just about, especially me? Well, really and truly, she's been a gift, and I mean it. She does make you smile, and she does love all of us. And so it's a pretty neat message if you think about it. Now, let me just tell you just this. I'm here today for a real purpose. I'm going to take any questions that you want to ask when we get done, and I won't be long. But the purpose is just really just one thing. I think you've been deceived, and I think you've been tricked. I think you were tricked into voting for Amendment 2, thinking you're going to get rid of your car tax. And there's no guarantee if you vote for it that you're going to get rid of your car tax, except for one thing. From my standpoint, I had to find a way to get that off the table, because the car tax situation is not what Amendment 2 is about at all. You see, the car tax doesn't have anything to do with Amendment 2. But I had to get that issue off the table. So with the great work of our secretary right here, and myself and others, we came up with a way for you to be sure, to be absolutely confident beyond belief that your car tax will never have to be paid again. And how that's going to happen is through a rebate. We're not going to change the Constitution. You're just going to shoot this down. Amendment 2, please, the Lord above, vote against it. Shoot it down. Keep all of your rights in your county. If you give your rights to Charleston, in my opinion, you're crazy. Completely crazy. But on top of all that, know, absolutely, have confidence, please, in me, that the car tax is gone. And you will get your money back, dollar for dollar, cent for cent, very, very, very quickly every single year. But what we'll ask you to do is pay it electronically like most of you do. pay it, and it will go to the county, right here in Harrison County, to provide services. And the second you pay it, Dave will wire you the money back electronically or whatever it may be, right back to your bank account, and in lots of situations it'll happen simultaneously, just boom, boom. And so you'll get your money for your car tax back, period. And not only that, as soon as the Senate or the House takes this up, and they pass it, and there's no way on earth they're not going to pass it because they're not suicidal. If they don't pass it, you're going to kill them. That's all there is to it. So they'll pass it just like that. And as soon as they pass, and if they would say they'll do it tomorrow, I'd call them into special session tomorrow and just do it tomorrow. But whenever they do it, we're going to back up to January of 2022 and send you your money back that you paid for last year. And so, all that being said, please, now let's remove the car tax from the whole scenario. So what's Amendment 2 really about? Amendment 2 is about this. Amendment 2 is about changing our Constitution. Changing something that's been in place since 1932. You were led to believe it was about car tax because they knew without any question, they bragged about it. They went around and said, we'll put the car tax with this, and that way everybody will have to vote for it. Well, listen, I can't imagine. I can't imagine trying to trick you into doing something that didn't have anything to do with this Amendment 2, trick you into doing it. Now they did that. And I'll promise you, they traveled in the shadows for a year or a year and a half convincing county commissions and board of educations and city managers and everybody else under the sun to go along with the whole deal with numbers that were just made up numbers. Now they're caught. They're just flat caught. Now I'll promise you, many of you probably still don't really have any idea what really Amendment 2 is about completely. And you may even feel like, well, Dag, I should have known. But you see, I didn't know either. We all thought, even legislators that were really good people, thought it was benign to say, well, it's okay to do this resolution and let the legislature determine tax code and all that stuff, change the Constitution. I didn't think a whole lot of it either. And then all of a sudden along came July. And I thought, we just finished a year in, we've got these ungodly surpluses, they're gigantic. Our people are faced with $5 gasoline. You're faced with grocery bills like you can't imagine. I said, let's at least get part of the money back to the people. It's their money. Let's do a 10% income tax cut to everybody. Let's do it tomorrow. And it'll get $254 million back to the people right now, right this minute. And the House, I said, we'll call them into special session. There's no way. There's no way this can be a problem. There's no way. They're Republicans. For God's sakes, 11 Republicans, without any doubt, are going to overwhelmingly support tax cuts. So we'll call them into special session and we'll get it done today. So we called a special session. And the House did it in a day. And then it stopped. Well, I couldn't believe it. I thought, well, what in the world is going on? And so the deeper you dig, the more ugly it gets. Now stay with me and listen to this. In Washington, D.C., we have the swamp. You've heard that before. What that is lobbyists passing out money to the people that are elected into office in order to get their vote for some special interest group. Sierra Club, big business, whatever it may be. The lobbyist has got the money, got all the perks, got everything in the world, passes out the money. Really and truly, that's exactly what you've got going on today in Charleston. Exactly that. What you've got is lobbyists with all the perks and all the money and all the stuff that are telling others, well, we'll back you in your gubernatorial run. We'll put money in your campaign fund. We'll do this and this and this if you'll support and get rid of the machinery and inventory tax, which has nothing to do with the car tax. Now, and so what happens is they become wedded to it and they can't get away from it. That's exactly what happened. The Senate leadership is wedded to that. And the Senate, they blocked the Senate from even voting on it. My tax cut for you. Now look, I didn't get anywhere in this world just blowing smoke at people. And the last thing on earth that I'll challenge you till you know where it freezes over. You find something that since I've been in office that I've told you knowingly that wasn't the truth. I don't do that. Now I make mistakes. But if I tell you something to the very best of my ability in every way in the world, it's going to be the truth. Now, so, what's happened here is they've cloaked this thing in darkness and said it's car tax. And it never had anything to do with that. And not only that, they've absolutely, what they were driving toward wholeheartedly was the machinery and inventory tax. Now basically they're saying on top of that, well, that'll bring more business here, that'll bring more job opportunities here and stuff like that. Well, I'm going to tell you, whether it be Berkshire Hathaway or, you know, my gracious sakes of living, you know, Nucor, Pure Watercraft, or Green Power, on and on and on, all those people are coming, aren't they? Well, they're coming. You know, honestly, with all in me, I have yet to have the very first company that's looked at me and said, and anywhere, talked on the phone and said, we'll come to West Virginia if you'll get rid of the machinery and inventory tax. Zero. Zero. So why are we doing it? Why in the world are we doing it? And to do it, you've got to vote for them to change the Constitution. It's the only way they can do it. Now all I can do is tell you just simply just stuff like this. If you do it, and the utilities are allowed to be involved, the cost is $700 million. $700 million is going to be pulled out of the revenue of the state. Before you spin around 2 or 3 times, the surpluses are going to be gone. Now Jimmy here is going to be gone because probably this is not going to happen for a year or two. You'll probably be okay really near term. Now look, I can ride the wave to the finish line. I can go cut every ribbon. I can ride in every parade. You'll probably look at me, many of you, and say, the greatest governor we ever had. And then, it'll be over for me. And if you've spun around just a couple of times and this passes, and you had a little tack on a little bit of inflation to it or whatever, here's what will happen. And mark it down. The counties will have no control. When you pass this, the counties were giving up all the control that they have instantly. Counties won't have any control. You will have to line up and go to Charleston every February and get in a line and beg the legislature for money to fund your counties, your cities, whatever it may be. Guarantee it. Now, what happens if dupe happens along the way? What happens if there's a bump in the road? You just pulled $700 million out of the equation. What happens if you've got pay raises or PEI or stuff for our seniors, or what happens? What happens if you have, you know, a match with the federal government to bring in money for highways or development? What happens if PEI is upside down? What happens? Well, I can guarantee you what happens. It's just as simple as this. At that point in time, the state won't have the money to fund the county. And when that happens, the police, the firemen, the schools, the seniors, everybody comes unraveled. Now you pray tell, please, to the Lord above, please tell me why you would vote for such a thing. You would have to be complete crazy. You have total control today. You've been deceived to believe it's about car tax. It doesn't have anything to do with that. This is about a power grab. This is about the swamp. This is about the bad stuff. Now, if that ain't bad enough, let me just keep on going. Now, just think about this just for a second. Who in this room is going to benefit more by the passage of this amendment than anybody? Who's going to benefit the very most? Hands down, the very most if this passes. It's me. It's me. Honest to goodness, my companies will absolutely be given millions of dollars if this passes. And I'm sitting here telling you, don't do it. Now, it takes a big man to do that. I'm telling you, don't do it. Because, see, I didn't sign up in this job for something for me. Now, like it or not like it, this goes back to I know and God above knows I signed up in this job for you. And that's what I'm going to do. Now, unfortunately, not many do it now. But at the end of the day, that's all there is to it. I would benefit to the tune of millions, and I'm telling you, don't do it. Because it'll blow your own legs off. At some point in time, we're going to go derailed. At some point in time, severance taxes are going to drop, or something's going to happen. And when it happens, absolutely Charleston will not have the money to fund you. And when they don't fund you, all you can do is cut services. Or here's what you can do. At that point in time, the county may decide all your property assessments are based on now probably at a 60% assessed value. Now get this one. Now think about this. Think about what they're doing to you. If the county goes upside down, and I'm telling you to God above, it will go upside down. When that happens, the only thing the county can do to provide you services is raise your personal property taxes. Raise your assessment and jack up your taxes. And they're all doing it because of promises for campaign dollars, or promises to support in the election, or whatever it may be. And you didn't know it. And to me, that's where I really draw a big time line. Because you mean everything to me. Everything. The other thing it does is just this. It drives a stake right dead in the heart. Promise you to God above. A stake right dead in the heart of getting rid of your personal income tax, or getting on a pathway of getting rid of that. Personal income tax, if we lowered it, you've got more money. If you lower it, people from all over the globe are going to come, and we're going to have growth in West Virginia. It's been proven 10 million times over. Now, you can't do it all. I'll promise you, if you get rid of the machinery and inventory taxes, exactly what they want to do. Now, don't get focused on the car taxes. I'm telling you, that's gone. But absolutely, if you proceed down this path, the counties lose control. We'll absolutely take away all the surpluses and all the good things that we've got going on. And then when we hit a bump, the counties won't have the money. And literally, then you'll be in a real dog's mess. Now, from my standpoint, I'll probably be gone, or right near gone. My days are very short to still be your governor. Now, but I will promise you just this. I have come to tell you, because I really believe, like I said a minute ago, that God made me Jim Justice for a reason, and absolutely, if I sit knowing this and don't do anything about it, then he looks at me and says, maybe I'm not happy with you. And that's the end of the story with me. I'm here. I'm here to tell you everything I can possibly tell you. At the end of the day, if you pass this, I'll be respectful of each and every one of you for doing that. I will. And absolutely, I'll promise you, I'll dance all the way to the bank. Because you will have given me millions and millions of dollars that I'm telling you don't do. Now, and on top of that, I'll probably not be your governor at that point in time. But I will run into you at Walmart. And when I run into you at Walmart, I'll say to you, I told you so. Because here's the life cycle of the whole thing. You know, if you think about Santa Claus just a second, Santa Claus, you know, first we believed in Santa, and then we didn't when we got a little older. And before we know it, or knew it, we were Santa Claus. So first we believed, then we didn't, then we were. From the standpoint of this situation, first you didn't know. Secondly, now you know. And thirdly, what I'm seeing all across this state is you're mad. You're mad because you were lied to. And you're mad because you were deceived and tricked into doing something that could absolutely kill us, kill your county, kill your schools and your police and everything. And with all that, I will promise you, if you're not mad now, you will be. I promise you, you will be. And you may say, well, how's that? And the reason of how that is just this, is we will have a bump in the road. Your county will get upside down. Your services will be cut. And then you'll be mad. It will happen. You're either mad now or you're going to be if you don't stop this. Now, there's even no guarantee if you pass this that you'll ever get rid of your car tax. In my way, there's an absolute guarantee to get rid of your car tax. But with what's going on, if you don't stop this, you are for sure giving up the right that you have. A right. Your right. Your right is what you're giving up. For your county to function, for local control to control, not Charleston control to control. It's really bad. And I really believe, and I've got to tell you that I got tricked in it too, because I didn't pick right up on it in the beginning too. You see, I'm a real believer in just this. The first that we should reward is our own, our people in West Virginia. You have been the ones that created this $1.3 billion surplus. You have been the ones that drive the show, manage your cities and counties and all the great stuff that our seniors and wisdom and on and on and on have done. You have been the ones, the drivers. We should reward you first. That's all there is to it. Basically, this is saying to all of you, whether you be seniors or county managers or whomever is here, what this is saying to you is just this. We want to take the tax dollars away from your county. We want to absolutely take your independence away from your county and give the lion's share of it to big giant corporations that may very well be from even out of state. At the end of the day, if you want us to grow, the pathway is reward you. Because the better life we make for you, the more people are going to want to come. Guarantee I'm right. Now look, and I'm real close to being done, and then I'll answer whatever you want me to answer. Literally, when I walked in the door, our state was in a real mess. And today, it's doggone good. But we still got a lot of folks out there that are hurt, and a lot of folks out there we can help. If you want to throw us back into the dark ages, you pass this. You're going to have to put up with me in a bad way, because I will see you in Walmart. And when you see me, run. Get away from me, because I absolutely am looking for you to tell you, I told you so. I love you. And I really mean it when I tell you that. You're the greatest of the greatest. I say it over and over because I want you to really be proud. But literally, at the end of the day, we were the bad end of a lot of bad jokes for a long time. And now we're becoming the envy of the world. And we don't want to just blow ourselves to pieces. But along the way, all the time, you have been the secret. You see, you're low crime, you're faith-based, you're good people, you're honest, you know the difference between right and wrong, you're neighbors, you're appreciative people, you're absolute craftsmen in every way. You're so good it's off the chart, and you live in paradise. Honestly, 4 of the most incredible seasons under the sun, and you live within a rock's throw of 2/3 of the population of the country. And they drive right through you to get to a state like Tennessee or Florida or Texas that don't have an income tax. My goodness gracious, you are the best of the best. Would you ever have thunk it that literally, there would be people from magazines that we've never even heard of, you know, travel magazines that would say, West Virginia is the place in the world that you ought to go to. Would anybody have ever thunk it that we could be that today? And we are. This is the single most important thing of my entire governorship. It's just that important. If you believe in what I'm telling you, you're the disciples. You best better go tell everybody in the land to not vote for this, because they had a big head start on all of us. And the head start, you know, is still vibrating out there all over the place. Amendment 2, get rid of your car tax. Get rid of your car tax. That's all it's about. And it's not about that at all. Now, the only other thing, Babydog, you got to quit drooling. You must be thinking about those nuggets. Let me do this. Let me say, I don't know if I said it in the beginning, but when we get done, if you want to come up and say hi to Babydog, I'll sit right here with him there. Don't worry about that and everything, but anybody got anything to ask about anything whatsoever, I'll do the very best I can to answer. I really appreciate you being here. You know, at the end of the day, you got to get to work though. Absolutely, this thing can and should, and I really believe is going to just be blown up. But this ought to be blown up. It's bad stuff. And people have not done the right thing. And they've not told you the truth either. Okay, ask me something, please, anybody. Yes, sir.
Governor, I'd like to just comment that, I believe the personal property tax also trickles down to municipalities along with the county. Of course, Babydog County, and that also affects the municipalities where the cities also provide all the services that you spoke of, the police and fire. And just to make everybody clear that also is a big concern of ours.
Well, Mayor, thank you. And that's a great mayor right there, too. been a good friend a long time. Yes, sir.
Governor, I mean, nicely, I'm the publisher of the Exponent Telegram, WV News, and State Journal. I'm going to pose a question to you that I posed to Senator Tarr yesterday at the morning time. And, you know, I go back about 20 years working for Fairmont State, getting higher education funding equitable. And when I look at Amendment 2 and what it can do to public education, the thing that parallels that is higher education. Higher education is not in the Constitution. So every year, all the higher education colleges and universities have to go to Charleston and fight and try to save their funding. Even West Virginia University does. But I kind of think the people who wrote the state constitution were smart enough to put public education in a protected area in the Constitution, so that could not be politicized. So my question to Senator Tarr was, so if this passes, and you're a nice guy, and everybody else in the legislature is nice people, and we're okay for a couple of years, but history shows us that the next power group that comes in and takes over, they can still change those laws. They can go by, if it's out of the Constitution, and the legislature can approve the funding each and every year, then they can change the rules of how that's done. So then that sets up public education to kind of be on pins and needles every year about their funding. Is that correct?
Well, you know, and Andy Nice is right. You know, he posed the question to Chairman Tarr. Chairman Tarr had to have said that if, you know, legislatures come and go, if you change this Constitution, it's there forever. And the legislature has the power to do whatever they want to do. Even if I was Chairman Tarr and I was the nicest guy in the history of the world, you know, really and truly, if I'm not elected, I'm not there. It's in the Constitution to do what they want to do. Your funding's gone and whatever. From the standpoint of public education, without any question, you know, you're in the bullseye then. And that's all there is to it. I mean, literally, there's a couple of rascals back there in the back, and I would tell all of you, it's great for us to talk about us, but they're who we're really talking about here. Those two little girls back there in the back. That's who we're really talking about. Because we're about, and that little fellow right back there in the back. And I like your red hair too. You know, but at the end of the day, we're about to blow their legs off. You know, without any question, and if you'll listen to just this, I've been there. Good Lord, I've been absolutely there and seen exactly this. The same very people, Chairman Tarr brought me a proposal. Forgive me for doing that, this back is wild. I mean, it lets me know I'm alive. But nevertheless, he brought us a proposal that literally, and WVU knows it ever so clear, that basically for all practical purposes, it was cutting WVU's funding, not cutting it, but maybe eliminating it. And the same way with Marshall. Just think, what do you think that they believe is the low-hanging fruit that is the first thing to cut? The first thing to cut is higher ed. They believe it. They believe it wholeheartedly that our universities and colleges and everything are absolutely just wasting money. And we got that. When I walked in the door right off the get-go, they were trying to get rid of all the arts and culture and stuff like that. It was like, we don't need that. Well, gosh, that's our soul. That's who we are. You know, but I can't tell you any more bluntly than you're giving up your independence. You're giving up your rights to Charleston. This guy's probably not real popular here, but it's just, you know, Bob Pruitt said to me, the former coach at Marshall, he said to me, he said, this is no different than me just saying to all of y'all, okay, everybody take out your wallet and give me all your money. I'm a politician. Babydog and I are politicians. Y'all give me all your money. And we promise we'll give it back. They must think you're total idiots. You know, that's all there is to it. But the problem is you didn't know. You were tricked. You didn't know. And don't feel bad because I didn't know either. That's just how dangerous what we're talking about is. And it's dangerous. It's dangerous for all kinds of things. And literally, whether it be public ed, higher ed, education, period, we'll have to line up right there and beg for funding. Guarantee it. Did I answer the question completely, or did, you know? I didn't want to leave any part out. It's a great question. Yes, ma'am.
I'm still somewhat confused about this amendment, and I understand the car part, we'll take that out of the equation. But my understanding that this amendment has something to do with inventory of businesses coming into West Virginia. Am I wrong in this? And could you explain it in English to us what exactly this amendment is saying? Because you talked around it and saying it's no good, but I yet don't know what is it good about it other than you keep saying there's no money to be given back to the local government. How is that happening? Try to tell us in plain English what that amendment is saying, please.
Okay, thank you. First of all, this beautiful, beautiful young lady here has done something that hardly anybody has ever done to me. And she's asked me to tell you in plain language. I mean, I'm the guy that showed Babydog's butt to Bette Midler. I mean, I only have one way to talk. I mean, I'm just as country, and everybody has always said he's as common as an old shoe, and that's all I want to be. But I'm going to go one step further to make it really clear. Here's what I think. Well, I know Amendment 2 is just about this. Amendment 2 is you allowing them to change the Constitution. That's all it really truly is. You're allowing them to change the tax codes. You're allowing them to say that tax money that's coming to the counties, they can cut it off. They can just cut it off. And then the counties don't have any money coming to them, and the only way the counties can function is go to Charleston and beg for money. Amendment 2 is just simply just that. It does not go any further than that. All it does is give them the right to change the Constitution. That's what Amendment 2 is. Now, and I strongly believe that you don't need them to change the Constitution and let Charleston control your fate. Now, beyond that, where the machinery and inventory tax comes into play, is that's their end goal. Change the Constitution, and then they get rid of the machinery and inventory tax. It basically dries up all the revenue, period. But Amendment 2 purely is only about allowing them to change the Constitution. Now, here's our Secretary of Revenue, and Dave, you want to talk to him any about that? Sure. Okay.
Of the amount of money at issue here, it's over $500 million. About $360 million of it is industrial inventory and machinery property tax. In other words, large companies, including Walmart, Target, Kroger, the large chemical plants, they all pay a property tax on their industrial equipment and inventory. If the legislature would eliminate that, that's $360 million that's not being paid for the most part by very large corporate taxpayers. They then have to go over to the state general revenue fund, take that sum of money from the state general revenue fund and then give it back to the counties, because that revenue source has been eliminated. Now, about 140 million of it, in addition to the 360, is what we call the car tax. And that's the tax that all of us are paying on our vehicles. The governor's plan, and the one that we drafted for the governor, is we are going to allow the state of West Virginia to reimburse everybody for paying their car tax. And you will do that either through your 87% of people in West Virginia pay their taxes electronically, a very large number. So you'll be able to go on the West Virginia State Tax Department website, fill in a couple of fields, and then you will get a wire transfer or a check back for your car tax. Or you can fill out a piece of paper, which would be a one-page sheet, and send it in by regular mail and get the same outcome. So you're not going to get hurt on the car tax at all. You're going to get the car tax rebated to you dollar for dollar. The state is going, if we don't amend the Constitution, the counties will still be able to receive not only the car tax, because the state's going to rebate that back to you, you'll pay it, you'll get it rebated back, but also the $360 million. That's the big issue here. In Kanawha County, we have the list of the 20 largest corporate taxpayers, and it's exactly what you would expect. It's Union Carbide, it's DuPont, it's Target, it's Walmart, it's Kroger. Those are the very large taxpayers that are at issue here. The legislature has expressed at least a desire to eliminate that type of taxation, which takes all that money away from the cities and counties and school boards. Does that help?
Yes, sir, Mike.
Governor, I don't know if this helps, but 100 years ago, the citizens put in the Constitution this protection for the counties. And what we're being asked to do, if we would vote yes for this, is to give up that protection and take out the wall, like the governor said, and hand it to Charleston. And then when we need money in Harrison County, we got to go down and beg the folks in Charleston for that money. And we don't elect all those people. You elect 1 senator and 4 delegates out of 34 senators and 100 delegates. Those 5 people won't be able to get anything for Harrison County. You would have to convince them all. So there's an old saying, he who controls the purse strings controls the power. We're going to change what they put in 100 years ago to give us the purse strings, to give Harrison County its own purse strings. And we're going to transfer it down to 134 people, most of which we don't have any idea. Would that be accurate, Governor? We're giving up control if we would vote for this in Harrison County.
That's splitting the bullseye. That's exactly what you're doing.
And I got to take a little plug here. I voted against this amendment. I voted against it every year because it's a bad amendment for the people of this state.
I mean, that's exactly 100% what you're doing. That's what Amendment 2 is all about. Yes, sir, Andy, I'm sorry.
Can I ask another thing? I know you talked about all the large companies, okay? All that money goes out of state. We're a locally owned company. We pay this tax. I pay it on a press that's worth millions of dollars, computers, packaging equipment. I paid on over $500,000 of newsprint inventory we got to keep every month. But we feel better off paying that tax than for our local cities, counties, and school systems to risk taking a hit. We would rather see them being funded appropriately than for us to receive a tax cut. And we're locally owned, so I'm trying to give you a little perspective from that.
Y'all should all clap for that. Yes, sir.
Hello, Governor. I'm Bill Oakfield, President of the Board here at the Senior Center. We want to welcome you back. You were here a few years ago, and we're delighted to have you back with us. In my role here at the center, I often meet with the seniors, and there are other groups throughout the county that I'm involved with. And what the seniors are telling me, and some of those have already voted by absentee ballot, that they've voted against all 4 of these amendments. And I'll tell you, they came to me for some research to explain to them what this is about, what all of them are about. Well, it's pretty hard to do that when they're not even written in what I would consider English that we can understand. So what the seniors are doing here in this county, they're telling me, is we're just going to vote no against all of them until they come back with something we can understand and try to, but we feel like, and you mentioned it earlier, we don't want to be duped by the legislature. And the seniors are seeing through this because they take voting seriously. They fought wars to keep us, to have our representation, and Mike is right. And we consider this overreach by the government, and it starts down there in Charleston. So seniors are saying no, we don't want them, any of them. If they want to come back with these amendments, if they're that important to the state, then write them in a way, and I know we have an incumbent here, write them in a way that we'll understand them. Okay? Because right now, these citizens aren't getting it, and you're going to lose out. If that's really what you all want to do, is to pass these amendments. But at this point, we're voting against. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And let me just comment just a second on it. If you look at all four amendments are transferring some level of power to Charleston. That's what they're doing.
Yes, they are.
All four of them are. Now, from my standpoint, here's exactly my feelings. I believe that if I keep the economics right in the state, then the services and everything will fall in place and be okay. That's why I dialed in completely to Amendment 2. You know, really and truly, if you pass another amendment and everything, well, it may not be the best thing for me. You know, in fact, I'll probably end up, my vote will probably be your vote. You know, but with all that being said, if you pass something other than the economics, I'll still be able, and others will still be able, to keep us right side up and keep our services going and everything else. There's arguments on both sides of some of the others. I mean, here's a perfect argument. There's one on education. And basically it's saying the educators, we have all kinds of departments of education, everything under the sun, and these people are good people. These aren't bad people. These people are honestly trying with all of them every single day. Now they can surely do better. We all can do better. But there is so much goodness that's going on in our schools across this land. If you haven't been in a school, we can absolutely do better. And our test scores aren't great. But ask yourself just this question, please. You go to a school and ask fourth graders, you know, do you like your teacher? And I'll bet you to God above, they will honestly almost all say, we love Miss Allen. You know, then go to your community and say, do you like your school and your community? And overwhelmingly, the people are going to say, you're daggum right, we love our school. Well, if people love their school, and the kids love their teachers, and we know the teachers love the kids, there's got to be something good going on. There has to be. You know, sure, the test scores may not be great, and we want them to be better. They're not great all the way across this country. But on the other side, what the other side is thinking is just this, is they're thinking, you know, if our educators go crazy, which they're not going to do, if they become California and go completely crazy, but we're in West Virginia, we're not going to go completely crazy. So in other words, if a meteorite hits us, if we're going to worry about that, then we ought to just go have fun and go play bingo or whatever and have a great time tonight. You know, but if we're not going to worry about that, then why in the world would you give oversight of education to Charleston? And that's really what we're saying. Now, if we're going to possibly become California, then that's got some real merit to me, because California can do stuff and put books in the schools and stuff that really that takes all the control away from the parents and everything else. But you see, where I'm from, educators really listen to the parents, because we're West Virginia. Like I live, we're West Virginia. You know, and so, and the other thing I would say is I have never, ever, ever known a kid that wanted to do something in life, and really and truly, the school held him back, or her back. And if you really want something, we'll find a way. We'll find a way. Now, we need to make it better. I'll be the first to say, let's make education better. Remember, I'm the governor that walked in the door the first day of the state, said make education our centerpiece. Why did I do that? The reason I did that is because the whole world thought we had to kill a deer every day to feed the kids at school. We needed to change our image. We needed to put the emphasis on education. Now, we still got a long, long ways to go. But literally, there's a lot of good that's going on. A lot of good. Yes, sir. We'll come right there. Yes, sir.
Governor, I just wanted to speak as to Amendment 3 just very briefly. Amendment 3 has to do with allowing churches optionally to incorporate. We are the only state that does not already allow that. And I've been the counsel of my church for a number of years, and because we cannot incorporate, it makes it difficult for us to get loans and open bank accounts and things like that, because most banks are not based here in West Virginia anymore, and they don't really know what to do with our whole trustee system that we're stuck with. So, I know we're here to talk about Amendment 2, but since Amendment 3 came up, I just wanted to correct the record that Amendment 3 really doesn't give any more control to Charleston, it just gives more control to local churches, so they can structure themselves the way they want to, and I would very much support that.
I think he's telling you the truth. I think he's telling you exactly the truth. From what I understand, Amendment 3, really and truly, we're the only state in the country that hadn't gone along with what he's told you. And with all that, I think it's very benign that if you choose to vote that way, to vote that way. Because absolutely, I think he's telling you exactly the truth. We're the only state, that doesn't allow the churches to incorporate from the standpoint of liability of the pastor and all the different things that he's talking about is there. And literally, if there's one amendment there that absolutely you should really consider voting for, he's telling you the truth. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm on city council here in Clarksburg, and I just went through my first budget process. And for our finance director, we would lose up to $779,000 out of our budget if this were passed. It stresses me out even thinking about worrying about that amount of money. We're an old city, we have a lot of issues. I'd hate to have to want to go to the state to find that money. We worry if we can even get there. I mean, we were so close on our budget. I mean, we were upside down. I mean, almost about $1.2 million, and we figured it out. I could not imagine adding $800,000, roughly $800,000 back to our issues. We don't have too much great luck going to the state for money. Our Main Street right here. When you leave, please drive down our Main Street. It's bad. It's a state road. We can't do it, but we can't even get our state road paid. And that's our Main Street right down, we're the 10th biggest city in the state. So I'd hate to see how it would go if we had to go to the state for almost $800,000 every year.
A really good thought. Think about just this. Think about Andy Nicely, our great mayor over here. This great man in the back, wonderful lady here. Think about all the words that they've said, and think about just this. All you really thought Amendment 2 was about was getting rid of your car tax. And think about how bad that really is. I mean, really and truly, they tricked you and they bragged about it. And now, really, we're way, way behind. Not maybe necessarily behind in voting this down, but behind that we didn't do anything for a year and a half, when they were telling everybody all this stuff to trick you. Now that's why I say you got to get to work. If you believe what I'm telling you, and all these other people are telling you, then you've become the disciples. And you've got to go tell people. because it's just a matter of days. And if this goes up in flames, well, you're going to have to deal with me at Walmart. And I'm going to be easy to see. I'm going to be somewhere close to the donuts. But with all that being said, you got to listen. You got to listen as to what's happening. You know, and I forgot Mike, you know, our ex-senator. I mean, you know, we've been buddies forever. You know, but I just tell you, you know, the good thing is this Metro News came out with a poll. That's the last poll that I've seen. They came out with a poll. You know, this thing would have passed 90 to 10. If I can flatter myself in any way, see, Babydog's the same. If any way I'd flatter myself, I'd have to just say, if I had not come out and really got with it, this thing, I think, would have passed 90 to 10. You know, now the last Metro poll that came out is a 24-hour poll, and get this, 14% of the people said they don't know what they're going to vote, how they're going to vote. 22% said they're going to vote for it, and 63% said no way. No way.
If
Yes,
I could just thank you on that point, because you're right. We had no free press, we had no earned media on this until you stood up. And you know, you and I have disagreed a lot over the years. We've agreed a lot. And this is one we absolutely agree on. And I want to thank you because certainly one senator couldn't get the word out, but you've gotten the word out great, and you're helping these people more than they'll ever know by getting the truth out about this. And I want to thank you. I think Harrison County thanks you. So.
you got again, forgive me for sitting down here and acting like I'm hurt or whatever, but this deal, I mean, I don't know what's going on, but Mike, thank you. And I would just say this one thing, is it's really, other than just the work of doing it, it's really easy to do for me. Because I mean it, and Mike knows this. You know, there's so many different people here that know this. I mean it when I tell you I love you. And I don't want anything but goodness for you. And absolutely, I'm going to fight for you as long as God gives me breath. And I mean it with all in me. And so, what's going on is not good. It's not good. And it's probably, by me out here fighting for you in every way, going against the grain, it's probably going to cause me a problem for who knows how long. So be it. You're what matters. You're absolutely the ones that have taken us through everything from the pandemic to everything right along. And you are the best. You're the best of the best. Babydog and I absolutely will love you forever. You've given us an honor beyond belief. My dad was an Air Force pilot in World War II. He flew a B-29 bomber. I still to this day, and he's gone past, he never would tell me one single thing that he did. Nothing. Nothing. Absolutely. I have no clue. To this day, I don't know where he was stationed, what he did, nothing. Nothing. They asked for so little, and yet all of them gave so much. My gracious, so much. On and on and on and on. My dad would say, it's an honor to have flown with you. And that's how I feel about you in every way. Let me be your governor. It's been a real honor flying with you. You're the best. That's all there is to it. Unless anybody else has got anything else, I'll be here with Babydog if you want to come and see Babydog. Yes, ma'am, I'm sorry.
I'd like to ask you to do with this, and it's nothing that maybe it's something to do with it, maybe it's not. There is calls that comes on our phones And then they'll ask, first thing they ask for you, how old you are, your social security card, and all that. And they come, their names are different. They don't put their names on it.
Right.
And then they just put numbers on it. One of it's saying Rich. And I get about 20 calls a day from them.
Oh my gosh.
Scammers.
Who here can help with that?
I can't never give out your social security number over the phone. Anybody that asks for your social security number, your age, your address, or any other information is just trying to rip you off. They're trying to steal money from you. Don't ever give in to that. And it's just not seniors. I've had doctors call me and they pull one where they say you're going to be arrested. And if you don't pay some money to them, they're going to come arrest. Don't believe that. Nobody operates like that. And it's just a scam to try to steal money from your pocket. Just ignore it. Hang up.
Spam risk.
I usually cuss them before I hang up.
Okay?
I tell them I know the government.
Yes, ma'am.
I just have one final comment, and thank you very much for your perspective. I would ask that everyone, I come from a scientific background, and when I look at an issue, I try to look at both sides. And I think before we all buy into either side, that I would hope that everyone here would look at the other side as well as the side that you're presenting on this amendment. I'm not saying one way or the other which is better. I'm just saying, please be aware that there are two sides to every issue and look into the other side as well. Thank you.
I'm always glad for that. The only thing that I would tell you is just beware of the fact that the other side's representation may not be the truth. They've already told you this was about car tax, and it's not about car tax. Absolutely, they've told you a whole lot of things. Just, if you want to read what the other side, ask them just this. Ask them things like, please just ask them these things. Ask them if there's $5 or $6 or $800 million or whatever it may be that we fall short, where's the backfall? Where's the money going to come from? They don't have any idea where the money's going to come from. Ask them, are they projecting a completely flat budget with their numbers forevermore? Well, who in the world's house and everything is always the same cost? That's what they're doing. Basically, if you get the other side's info and you're scientific and you really dig into it and everything, then dig into it. That's great. The only reason I'm here is you didn't know the other side. And that's why I came to give you this side. Okay, that's all I got. Thank y'all.